it's always lagged behind when there's parabolic jumps from the market in general. It tends to usually lag behind and then catch up later. Why that is, I have no, definitive answer to that, but yeah, I guess it's just how the markets move.
Why is it digital silver, in your opinion?
Yeah, so for me, I first got into crypto in August of 2017. Bought my first bit of Bitcoin and thought that was pretty interesting. Got into it for probably the same reason a lot of people got into it, which was to make some money, right? And just started researching more on what Bitcoin was and was really fascinated. Not being a technical person, but still being able to understand some technical things in a larger sense. I thought it was extremely interesting. And um, when my bank blocked me trying to have a Coinbase account like 3 times because they kept saying uh, it was potentially fraud or whatever, I knew this was something that
Worth listening.
I wanted to get more into
Yeah,
because
exactly.
nobody tells me that, right?
Exactly.
Let me determine if it's fraud or not. And
You are American?
yes,
American.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Americans never like people telling them what to do, right? So
No.
yeah. So anyway, I kept researching and then I learned more about Litecoin and I thought that concept, though it was a, pretty easy concept, it was it was very interesting in how it took what could potentially be future, I don't necessarily like issues or things that could come up with Bitcoin if they weren't addressed. They were addressed with Litecoin, and so
Such
I
as?
kind well, you have the speedier times. There's much more room for transition or transactions in a block, even though the block was a quarter of the time of Bitcoin's. Um, and the transactions were cheaper. Um, I really liked the support from the community. They were much more receptive to new people trying to learn what crypto was in general, as well as Litecoin. And then, of course, I stumbled on the guy that created Litecoin and Charlie and was following his account for a while and realized this was a guy who was very respected and he was very modest and he was out there to help people and didn't seem like he was above anybody else, and all those things are attractive to me as well. So if you take all those things together, I started to gravitate more towards Litecoin than Bitcoin, even though my holdings were more in Bitcoin, but my thirst to learn more came from the Litecoin side. And so over time I then volunteered at the foundation, which was young at the time. This was January, February of 2018. And volunteered there for a while and helped set up the first Litecoin Summit, which was in South San Francisco, and the rest is history.
What year was that?
That was 2018 as well. So September of 2018 was the first summit. And shortly after that, Charlie he actually asked me on the plane flight back from South San Francisco if I wanted to join in a part-time basis with the foundation as like a project director. And I said yes. So,
Nice. And that journey's been good for you.
oh, it's been great. It's such a great group of people to be working with. The community is great.
How large is
Uh,
the team?
the team is not very large at all, honestly. If you're talking about people that are active and tied to the foundation in some specific manner, I would say you're talking probably about a half dozen to 10 people. The volunteer we have a lot of volunteers, but really it's like you have certain scenarios or things that come up where you need certain people's talents, and sometimes volunteers may not do anything for a while simply because it's not necessarily called upon, but when asked, they're right there to help. So it's a great situation to be a part of.
Nice. Okay. But sort of is a team of, let's say, 10, are those the only ones working on Litecoin, or are there more
Well, I'm sure there's more than that. I'm talking more like from the
from
foundation
the
only.
foundation?
Yes. So if you have other people outside of the foundation who are doing things to further Litecoin, I'm not counting that. I'm just counting people on a daily basis that I see or interact with at the foundation.
Yeah. So then my question is, you've now been watching Litecoin, what, I don't know, 7, 8 years, probably very
Mm,
closely.
yeah, yeah.
It seems to move straight, as in sideways, and then it goes parabolic, and then trends
Mm,
back down almost to where it was before,
mm,
and goes parabolic, no, and then now we're sideways.
hmm.
Um, why do you think the price didn't really pump in the last week and a half, 2 weeks?
Well, you have a lot of people who cite the history of what you just mentioned, right? So, it's always lagged behind when there's parabolic jumps from the market in general. It tends to usually lag behind and then catch up later. Why that is, I have no, definitive answer to that, but yeah, I guess it's just how the markets move.
And so Litecoin is digital silver, no?
Yeah, I would consider it
Yeah.
digital silver.
Though in this itself, so in this day and age, though, do you need a digital silver?
I think it's necessary. I mean, just if you were to just look back in history and you look at the currencies that most nations have used, and they used a metal for their coinage, a lot of them transitioned to silver because there's still value in it. It's not as necessarily looked at the same as gold, but the value is there. And so you use gold for hoarding or storing of value, and you use silver as an exchange of value that's got value to it, yet it's cheap enough to where it could be, created en masse and used by a large group of people. And so to me and to many others, that's the reason behind the digital silver moniker.
Okay, though, if it's playing the silver role, shouldn't it? Okay, so I understand the relationship between gold and silver.
Hmm.
Going back, thousands of years ago, I
Yep.
get that. It's the main reason why sort of I find Litecoin to be potentially a good opportunity to buy.
Mm.
But if you think about it, digital gold is a better version of gold, and it does everything that gold does, but more or less, I mean, better in every department. It's so good. Why does it need a silver? Like, is the market wrong as the fact that the Litecoin Bitcoin valuation is it's like 1,000 to 1 at the moment, something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
like 950 to 1.
yeah. It's pretty crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's either an opportunity of a lifetime or it's not. That's how I'm seeing Litecoin at the moment.
Well, I think it's utility proposition is a opportunity of a lifetime, first of all. And the reason being that you have something that's of a digital value, just like if if Bitcoin is digital gold and Litecoin is digital silver, that by itself being utilized in that manner is a value proposition that's never been seen before. It's a paradigm shift, right? Um, but the market part of it, where it's at 1,000 to 1, basically, that's to me, that's a mix of a lot of different things that are outside of the narrative of what Litecoin is. That's people moving the market to suit their needs. Um, there's a lot of shorting that's going on. There's a lot of especially lately, a lot of the miners have been selling most of their Litecoin immediately, and
Why?
they're whatever they have stashed up. Well, I mean, it's a value proposition, right? So we're merged mined with Dogecoin. So if you have Dogecoin and Litecoin are merge mined together, and you collect more profit off of Dogecoin than Litecoin, miners will convert it over to Dogecoin, right?
Mm.
And so then you start seeing that price disparity that you even see in the regular market, the retail market part of it, that shows up there because people see one's going up and another one's not. And so there's always the human nature of FOMO, and they latch onto the one that's going up. So there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into it as well. So I don't think it's a long-term market indicator of the value of Litecoin. I see it as uh, a sort of a psychological window into the market as a whole. When you have market caps of coins that literally hold no utility value whatsoever, it's just a meme coin of some sort, and it has $100 billion valuation.
This is Doge, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be any. I'm not pointing at Doge specifically. I'm saying there will be others in the future. So let's just use it as a general, statement. 10 billion, 20 billion, it's irrelevant. The point is there's $20 billion worth of money put into something that you won't really ever use, or you know what I mean? There's no real intrinsic value to it beyond
I
whatever animal is on the coin.
to be honest, I see Bitcoin digital gold, digital silver, Litecoin, and I see Doge as a form of bronze, actually.
I've actually used that before with people. I think I used the term copper, but
Yeah,
bronze, I mean, regardless, yes, I do see it in that manner. And that's, maybe some people don't, but I do for Dogecoin specifically. Yeah.
I think the main use case for Litecoin, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is digital gold needs something that when you buy it, you can make more of it. So that's why it needs a silver.
That's part of it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So like
Mm.
that's the motivation, let's say, behind Bitcoin is balancing out with Litecoin. At least this
Yeah.
is how I think. um
Yeah.
so far I haven't been correct. I got in at 1,000 sats and I thought
Mm.
there's a chance it goes down to 800 sats, and it did. And it annoyed me actually, because I thought 1,000 was the floor, 1,000 to 1,000, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but like Litecoin has now an ETF, no, on the way potentially.
Well, the application is in. We'll see how that goes, but I believe that the environment is favorable. So we'll see. I don't think it's Charlie said it, and I believe it. I don't think it's a matter of if, but when. So
I think so too, huh? And
yeah,
when that happens, that could mean that Litecoin is the second node to get it.
it would be the
Or
second
the
proof
third,
of work
sorry, after
coin.
Ethereum.
Yeah,
This is the third
yeah,
after
it'd be the
Ethereum.
second proof of work coin, and I think that would help bolster the narrative that proof of work coins do have value and are here to stay.
And is it one ETF application by Capital Canary Capital, or are there more in the pipeline?
So right now there's only one that's been filed. We would anticipate, just because of the buildup from Grayscale buying up so much Litecoin, that potentially there's one there as well. But I mean, we don't really know, what that looks like. But normally, what happens is the snowball effect, right? You get one or two that do it, it shows it's successful, and then you have others that follow. Bitcoin was a little bit of an anomaly in the ETF world. I mean, it's blown away all projections and records of prior ETFs. So that's kind of a hard benchmark to use. That wouldn't be realistic, right?
No.
But at the end of the day, if you have a successful couple of, one or two ETFs for Litecoin, there will be others that follow.
Yeah. Um, what's really interesting about the gold silver ratio is that over the last thousands and thousands of years, it's held a 100 to 1 ratio,
Mhm.
or at least 100 to 1
Or
ratio,
yeah, close to
between
that, right? Yeah.
20 and 100. And in the 70s, there was a speculative attack on silver
Hmm.
by some English brothers, the Hunt brothers. Um, so that tells me that if Litecoin is digital silver, something similar could happen with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
it must happen with Bitcoin.
it
Otherwise, it's gonna lag and it's gonna keep on going further and further away. You know what I
Right.
mean?
There comes a turning point where either it
Exactly.
does or it doesn't. Yeah. And I think that point comes fairly soon. When, I don't know, but I would anticipate, just like when people talk about, if you take a ball with air and you put it under the water, at some point when
Yeah,
you release, it flies up, right? And so I think that's what a lot of people anticipate to happen at some point.
agreed. So what factors could drive Litecoin's price momentum in the coming months? What's going on maybe behind the scenes?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been working on is we just released a wrapped Litecoin. Well, we didn't. Coin UT Exchange did, out of Singapore. We worked with them to facilitate getting it, out to the public and stuff. But it's their product. So wrapped Litecoin allows people to take their Litecoin and then, start using it within the DeFi space, which is something that we've been basically left out of for the large part in the last few years. Um, there's MWeb, which is the optional confidentiality, um, yeah, on Litecoin. So you can take Litecoin, put it into an MWeb address, and when you send back and forth between those addresses, people cannot see the totals in the addresses, nor the amounts that are being sent, and then it can always be brought back over to the main chain. And so that is a big deal, and we're starting to work with
I think that's a massive
potential.
deal. I think that's a
It is,
massive deal.
yeah.
Massive deal.
And the
Actually
big
makes it money.
the thing that'll turn that on will be bigger wallets adding it into their wallets. And so I'm starting to work with or communicate with larger wallets to um, try and make that happen. We have a team of developers who are open to assist any wallet that's looking to do it. So they've already worked with Cake Wallet, which is a pretty cool wallet that a lot of Monero heads and Bitcoiners and Litecoiners use. And uh, I'm already in discussion with a couple others to see how we can get it onto theirs as well. So I think that will help as well. And then the ETF being approved is a logical catapult for potential
Huge. That
price.
that that that's quite big actually.
Yeah. And then of course the new environment within the regulatory, you know, area within the United States, and how the political scene has changed towards Bitcoin in general. That always helps the entire crypto market, but it always seems to help, especially Litecoin. So there's been a lot of larger companies that provide services for trading or purchasing or storing, that only normally have 3 to 4 large cryptos that they utilize or allow, and that's it, right? And so some of those are Fidelity, so it's just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. PayPal, Venmo, go down the list. There's a bunch of them where it's just those 3 or 4 um, that end up getting used. So those are all, you have more of those type of adoptions happen from the services standpoint, and that'll help as well.
Actually, what I had really thought Litecoin had that Bitcoin didn't was this MimbleWimble privacy feature,
Yes. Yeah, we're very
which,
happy about that, and
yeah,
it's been growing. So Dave Burkett and there's another guy named Hector Chu who's been helping out with wallets and stuff. But those two guys, Dave being the main architect for Litecoin's MWeb, they've done a great job getting that set up. And
there's
so now it's
the
just a matter of awareness, right? Getting
there's
people to use it more.
yeah, there's the Aqua wallet, which I downloaded, but that's Bitcoin only. And when I
Which
opened
one?
the Aqua wallet,
Hmm.
which is a good one, but it feels like it needs Tether on it and it needs Litecoin on it.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. And so usually it takes users to, kind of poke them and be like, hey, we want this, we want this, we want this. And that helps a
yeah.
lot.
With regards to marketing, though, is anything done, or does Litecoin just allow things to just happen? Not really, because I don't really see much when it comes to marketing. You know what I mean? And also,
Yeah.
when I even go in Google or YouTube and I write
Hmm.
Litecoin, only Bitcoin content comes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only, not
It's
YouTube. So like
it's
that's
very
how they're shorting the
confusing.
market as well.
Yes, it's very confusing how this is happening because you use SEOs, you do other things, and it's like it just doesn't matter. Somehow there's like a force that just doesn't want you to know about Litecoin. It's very,
Yet.
very frustrating. And so even though there's been, marketing efforts, especially when there's new developments, um, it's hard to break the glass ceiling of crypto media outlets if you're not basically if you're not, you know, paying for articles or if you're not doing certain things the way they want them to be done. And so you just get ignored. Um, and then of course the non-crypto media outlets are pretty much following whatever direction they've been given, or they look for whatever is popular on the crypto side, which is why you'll see more articles about a Dogecoin or a Solana or something else than you will ever see about Litecoin, because Litecoin just does what it does. It's very good at it, but we don't have a treasure chest of money for heavy marketing. It's really, you got to rely on the organic use of the people using it, and some of it's word of mouth, but I mean, there's things that we can use and that we're starting to use more smartly in the social media realm. And so yeah, I think over time, as the noise dies down and people start to look more for the utility that they're actually wanting, they'll find Litecoin standing there waiting for them too.
I actually used Litecoin to make some payments. Person receiving it was happy to receive them. And I found it was useful for that
Yeah, it's very good for
because
that.
I'm
That's
happy to get rid of my Litecoin, so to speak, because I was waiting for a pump and whatever. But it makes it's a lot easier to spend your Litecoin than Bitcoin. Like it
Mhm.
feels a lot easier to spend Litecoin than Bitcoin
Yes,
because
it's
go,
psychological. Yeah.
you know what I mean? But which is what you want for, let's say, a common currency like Litecoin,
Hmm.
because you want
Hmm.
people to use it, no? This is
Right.
why this is why it was used number one most used for payments. It's the number one used coin for payments
Yep.
at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really see that changing. I mean, that's the narrative that we've been pushing for years anyway, is,
So that
you
means that
you
more people are using Litecoin than they are using Bitcoin, basically.
well, I guess it depends on the definition of use, or in what context you mean use, right? So you ask a Bitcoiner, and them buying and holding is them using it, right?
No, let's say using it is them exchanging it with someone else.
Right, right. Well, then yes, I would say it's used more than Bitcoin, but like I said, it all depends on who you're talking to and what their mindset is. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so if we're talking now about mining, both Bitcoin and Litecoin are at all-time highs. No, in mining, I think the last
Yeah.
time I saw the hash rate of Litecoin did explode.
Yes.
So that tells me that miners are still interested to mine Litecoin.
Yes. Yes.
Is that still the case, even with them dumping it, let's say, right after because of Doge or whatever, or their own reasons?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons for that still being the case. I mean, one of it's it doesn't use as much electric to begin with. It's still more profitable than mining Bitcoin at the moment, right? So as long as that holds up,
It's more profitable to mine Litecoin.
The last time I checked, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and look, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's still more profitable, even
Okay,
at the price that it's at. But now,
interesting.
granted, Bitcoin's gone up, about 60, 30 grand in the last month or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
who knows? But I mean, if you go back and look historically, it usually ends up being either very similar or a little bit more profitable.
Does
So
that have to do with script or
yeah,
versus SHA-256?
yeah,
It
yeah.
does.
It's not as energy intensive. It's more memory intensive. So
I see. Um, okay, I've asked. I mean, I more or less wanted to run through price. I wanted to run through why you think the industry needs a digital silver, and from what I understood, um, it's just because like we have gold and silver, so we should have digital silver as well.
yeah, that's one of the main tenets behind. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's maybe why would people rather store their value in digital silver Litecoin rather than let's say a new coin like that Casper coin?
Well, without getting too deep, if you look at the mining incentives and the structure behind how they're built, um, Litecoin's been around for over 13 years and it's only getting stronger. Caspa's pretty new. I believe there's some mining incentives that dwindle over time. I don't know enough about it to really give you a definitive answer, but I just feel like there's been tens of thousands of cryptos that have come out, including proof of work coins. And at the end of the day, there's literally only, you can count them on one hand, uh, ones that are not just surviving, but thriving. So give it time. But I mean, Litecoin's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Litecoin's here to stay. It's already developed. It's a very strong user base
That was my
and
next question.
foundation.
Is it
Yeah.
going anywhere? Like,
And that's not going
is it
anywhere. No,
determined like to be there in the next 10, 15 years? Like, do you see it
absolutely.
relevant in the next 10, 15 years?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, it's probably going to be more relevant in the next 10 or 15 years than it has been to this point. If you just look at its growth trajectory, when you go and look at the statistics on its growth trajectory alone, um,
Where can one look for the
so
those
if you go
statistics?
to if you go to like Into the Block or Glassnode or Masari, any of these where they track everything from user addresses, new addresses, transactions, transaction amounts, all of these things, all of them on Litecoin have grown exponentially over the last, let's just say, since I've even been in 7 years ago, or even 2 years ago. If you were to look at 2 years ago versus now, the trajectory of Litecoin and all of those has just gone through the roof, right? And so there's no reason not to think that as time goes by and more people within mainstream learn about Litecoin, that just continues to grow.
Nice. I see that happening as well.
Yeah,
I see it happening. Maybe once, to be honest, I think once Bitcoin gets too expensive,
and that'll be part of it too. Yeah,
people are
because
gonna
they'll
need
look
to
for the next
migrate
thing.
into something else, and they're gonna migrate into an idea. And the idea is if I buy Litecoin, I'm gonna make more Bitcoin.
Yep.
You know, and that at least was my angle for getting into Litecoin.
Yeah.
Because it's suppressed. Everyone doesn't like it. At least I spoke to a bunch of people. Everyone tells me off for even bringing it up, you know, and I'm like, you're joking. You know, like, what
It's
the hell's
all
wrong
it's
with
all
you?
up in here. It's
It's
all up in
crazy because
here.
one
Yeah.
guy, I won't say his name, he does a lot of stuff. I was gonna do a video with him. He told me, why would I look at that thing? It's 4 lines of code different to Bitcoin. I said, that doesn't that make it a little bit precious then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there isn't gonna be another one within 3 years of gold, as in of
There will never be another crypto that's such that is that aligned with Bitcoin's proposition and doesn't compete with it and still supports it and can
Exactly.
exist than Litecoin. There's literally no other one that can do that.
I think Ethereum confused a lot of people
It sure did.
because it was never a BTC ETH valuation. It should never have been that. If you think about it, it should be a BTC LTC
Hmm.
valuation where they were fighting for ages, Ethereum going up and down. Now it's going down, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, because it's not like a proof of work coin. So Litecoin, I see Litecoin can keep on once it reaches let's say a 200 to 1 ratio,
Hmm.
and the market likes 200 to 1, it can oscillate around 200 for the next 100 years.
Right. Yeah. It was, there's no other coin that was built as complementary to Bitcoin as Litecoin, and there never will be. So
Yeah,
I think that alone
exactly.
is a strength that people ignore.
Exactly. All right, then I've asked all my questions. So thank you very much for your time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Thank you. I appreciate it.
fingers crossed.
Yep.
I am one of let's say one of the first few Bitcoiners who's on Team Litecoin as well.
I appreciate it.
I actually
Yeah. There'll
think
be,
people are starving as well to talk about something else other than Bitcoin. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like we're always
Yeah.
talking about Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Let's talk about something that serves Bitcoin as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I appreciate it, man.
No worries, no worries. Thank you very much, David.
All right.
We'll
Yeah, just let Jay and I know when you're ready to put out whatever you're putting
Yeah, I
out,
mean,
and
I'd take around a week, something like that.
that sounds good. Okay, sounds
Cool.
good.
Good luck, David. Thank you very
Thanks.
much for your time.